As a trio of fishermen embarked on their crab-catching expedition, they encountered an unexpected sight. Before them lay a peculiar scene, an isolated creature ensnared amidst the icy expanse of the sea, desperately calling out for assistance. Initially mistaking it for a familiar sea-dwelling creature like a seal, the fishermen were about to witness an astonishing turn of events that would forever alter the trajectory of their journey and their very existence. Mallory Harrigan, Alan Russell, and Cliff Russell own a small fishing boat together. They trawl off the coast of Labrador looking for cool stuff, and they recently found something to fit that description. Hailing from a quaint fishing village, the trio were once avid boating enthusiasts. However, their passion for the open waters propelled them towards a daring decision to transform their beloved hobby into a full-fledged fishing enterprise. With unwavering determination, they dove headfirst into the realm of entrepreneurship, embracing the challenges and rewards that awaited them on their journey to make a living from their shared love of fishing. Mallory and her crew set out that day as they always did, chipper due to excitement and the chilly weather of Newfoundland. Their excitement keeps them alert and aware of their surroundings, which is needed because there are many dangers to stay aware of when you're at sea, including weather patterns and wildlife. With their fishing boat, the trio are able to haul in all kinds of marine animals. But fish and crabs aren't the only things they get to see while trawling the cold northern waters. Each day, the crew diligently hauls in numerous pounds of fish, making it routine for one of them to prepare a meal from their bountiful catch, while others fulfill their shipboard duties. On this occasion, Mallory assumed the lookout position while a shipmate readied the fish for consumption in shipment. With her extensive experience at sea, Mallory was acutely conscious of the perils that awaited in the open waters, including the looming threat of colossal icebergs. The lessons learned from the tragic tale of the Titanic served as a constant reminder that even seemingly distant icebergs had the potential to unleash catastrophic consequences upon any vessel, regardless of its size. Icebergs are a common sight off the coast of Labrador. As the water in the area heats up, iceberg sightings are actually increasing, with large chunks of Arctic ice drifting south earlier and earlier each season. Navigating through the perilous waters, Mallory and her shipmates maintained their course while keeping a vigilant eye on the icy hazards surrounding them. In such hazardous circumstances, the crew relied on the concerted efforts of every member to ensure their safety and prevent drifting toward the colossal glacial behemoths. Among the denizens inhabiting these frozen giants were seals, penguins, and polar bears. It was not uncommon for Mallory and her crew to encounter these creatures during their journey. As long as they refrained from interfering, both parties could appreciate the magnificent seascape without any confrontations. However, what lay ahead would defy this unspoken code and challenge their preconceived notions. On one fateful day, they were fishing for crabs when they came across something very different. On a large but rapidly shrinking chunk of ice, they spotted an unusual animal. From a distance, the fishermen thought at first that the critter was an Arctic seal, lounging casually on a floating iceberg that had almost entirely melted out from under it. But when they got closer, they began to worry. It was no seal. The creature was small and furry, and it looked scared. And it was right to be afraid, because it didn't have long before its icy perch would break down entirely. The crew was scared too, because they weren't sure how this animal would react to their presence. When the boat got close enough, the fishermen realized they'd found a tiny, cold Arctic fox. It was clear the fox shouldn't have been that far out to sea alone, and there was no way it could swim back to shore if it fell off the iceberg. The team suspected that the fox may have been hunting when something went horribly wrong, and it got trapped on the wrong side of a glacier's fissure. Once the iceberg started floating away, there was nothing the fox could do but remain aboard as it headed farther and farther out to sea. The trio rescued the fox, who was starving and very cold, and gave it a warm bed filled with sawdust while they transported it elsewhere. The fox was incredibly wary of the humans, but with some persuasion, it was convinced to remain calmly on the boat. There's not much food aboard a fishing boat that would be fit for an Arctic fox, but it was clear the little creature was in desperate need of sustenance. Eventually, the trio fed it Vienna sausages, the only semi-appropriate meaty snack on the boat. The fox snuggled down for a rest in its temporary bed and managed to get some sleep. It probably wasn't able to rest very much on that iceberg, so this nap was long overdue. In no time at all, the fox began looking a lot healthier, or at least less like a drowning rat. Notice the animal's black skin, similar to that of a polar bear, which traps as much heat as possible while its white fur provides camouflage in the snow. Eventually, the fox realized the humans didn't mean it any harm, but it was still wary. Little did it know those humans were going to take it to a new home where iceberg surfing accidents would be far less common. The fisherman found a new home for the fox, an old doghouse on the side of a barren hill overlooking the sea. It was the perfect place for the animal because it was far enough away from humans to keep it safe. With evident contentment, the fox embraced the snug confines of its newfound abode, delicately exploring every nook and cranny within the petite hut. Feeling emboldened compared to its encounter atop the iceberg, the curious creature ventured forth into its immediate surroundings. During the winter season, this once grassy terrain surrendered to a thick blanket of snow, a wintry haven ideally suited for the diminutive fox. Although it could no longer return to its original home, given its ill-fated iceberg escapade, this new environment held promise for a fresh start. Eager to survey its surroundings, the fox started up a rocky outcrop, seeking an elevated vantage point. Observing from a safe distance, the rescuers captured the heartwarming spectacle on film, witnessing the fox's initial moments of newfound freedom. Suddenly aware that it wasn't alone, the fox turned back to lock eyes on its human friends. It was a good sign that, rather than returning to ask them for more tasty sausages, the fox turned and ran further away. Clearly, it hadn't become too attached to humans as a result of its ordeal, which is good for its future health and safety. Regrettably, creatures like the fox mentioned here are increasingly bearing the brunt of the adverse impacts of climate change, a trend poised to intensify in the forthcoming years. Scientific projections indicate that escalating ocean temperatures will hasten the disintegration of the remaining ice in our planet's polar regions. Fortunately, this small fox found solace and security, vanishing into the sanctuary of the dense grass in its newfound habitat. However, not all Arctic animals will share the same fortune. It is our hope that individuals like Mallory Harrigan and her companions will continue to be present to rescue more imperiled animals. Nevertheless, their benevolent efforts cannot extend to every creature in need. The challenges brought by climate change demand a collective response from society to protect and preserve the delicate ecosystems these animals rely upon.